You don't walk away from Diddy, not without consequences. That's the unsettling truth lurking beneath the headlines, whispered in the industry's darker corners. Tonight, we break the silence, not with rumors, but with a chilling trail of testimony, footage, and unanswered questions that hint at something far more sinister than most dare to admit. The world sees Sean Diddy Combs as a music mogul, a cultural icon, a billionaire brand. But behind the private jets and champagne-soaked parties, there's another narrative. One few have the courage to touch. It's the story of a man who didn't just build an empire. He fortified it with fear, control, and silence. It all began to unravel on day 16 of the federal trial. The courthouse was suffocating with tension. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but what unfolded was captured in the transcripts and in the stunned silence of the courtroom. A surprise witness took the stand. Not a former bodyguard, not an ex-employee, but George Clooney. Now, whether you see Clooney as Hollywood royalty or just another A-lister, what he said next stunned everyone. He wasn't there to promote a cause or a film. He was there because, in his words, "I couldn't carry this to my grave." He claimed to have footage, evidence, captured years earlier during what was supposed to be a celebrity retreat at a private estate in the hills of Bel Air. According to Clooney, that weekend changed everything. The footage, described but never fully released, allegedly showed masked individuals in a candlelit room. No names were spoken, no faces were seen, but the message was clear. This was a gathering of elites, and it wasn't just about networking. It was about power, ritual, control. Clooney wasn't supposed to record anything, but a small camera embedded in a decorative pair of glasses caught fragments. Most of the audio is muffled, the visuals grainy, but what little could be made out was enough to rattle even the most seasoned investigators. Why would George Clooney risk his reputation, his safety, and possibly his life to come forward? In the courtroom, he paused before answering the judge's question. His voice cracked as he said, "Because I saw where this was headed and who it was coming for." The room fell silent. No one moved. No one even breathed. Clooney looked directly at Diddy and said, "You've turned silence into currency. I won't pay that price." This wasn't about revenge or Hollywood drama. This was about something darker, a machine that feeds on loyalty, punishes dissent, and makes sure those who try to leave don't get far. And that's just the beginning. When you reach Diddy's level, power isn't just about fame. It's about control over rooms, reputations, and reality itself. And Clooney, despite his fame, was never supposed to see behind that curtain. The retreat at the Bel Air estate was meant to be exclusive, ultra-private, invitation only. Attendees were handpicked, phones were locked away. But Clooney, uneasy from the start, had brought something else with him. A pair of modified glasses rigged with a tiny hidden camera. Paranoia? Maybe. But that paranoia saved him, and exposed what he later called the quiet machinery of Hollywood's dark engine. The footage captured wasn't crystal clear, but it told a story. According to those who viewed it under federal protection, it depicted a gathering that resembled nothing like a party. Crimson lighting, silk curtains muffling sound, a single blindfolded figure seated in the center of a lavishly decorated room, watched silently by masked individuals, their identities obscured. No phones, no laughter, no music, just murmurs and ritualistic movements, all taking place behind the gleaming surface of Hollywood's A-list lifestyle. It was surreal, disturbing, and, most of all, deliberate. Clooney didn't speak publicly about what he saw for years. He said he tried to forget, but forgetting was never part of the plan. Weeks after the retreat, things started happening. A black car parked across the street, every night, never leaving. An envelope arrived, no return address. Inside, a single USB drive. Clooney said it reeked of unforgivable Diddy's signature cologne. Just 3 words were typed on a .txt file. "Welcome home, George." That was the warning. That's when Clooney began assembling his case. Quietly, methodically, knowing full well the risk. Every conversation documented. Every piece of evidence protected by multiple legal teams. Not because he was brave, but because he was scared. "Fear makes you sharper," he later said. His testimony painted a picture of a culture built on silence. From insiders who vanished after speaking out to NDAs with million-dollar penalties, the goal was always the same: keep the illusion alive. Because if the illusion breaks, even for a moment, the whole tower collapses. And in the center of it all stood Diddy, not just as a celebrity but as a gatekeeper, a man who didn't just create stars, he controlled them. "Hollywood's a theme park," Diddy allegedly told Clooney one night, "and I own the keys." That statement stuck, because Clooney now realized He'd been inside the park and seen the cost of leaving. But what happened next would turn this from a story about one man into a warning for the entire industry. By day 16 of the federal trial, the courtroom no longer buzzed with curiosity. It simmered with fear. Reporters had stopped smiling. Lawyers looked over their shoulders. Something was coming, and everyone knew it. Then he walked in. George Clooney. His entrance wasn't dramatic. He wore no suit, just a dark jacket and a worn expression. But it wasn't his clothes that unsettled the room. It was the way he looked at Diddy, like a man who had seen something he could never unsee and wasn't going to let the world forget. He took the stand. The judge asked why he was testifying now, after years of silence. Clooney's voice cracked just once as he answered, "Because the next victim could be my daughter." A hush fell over the courtroom. Not because of who said it, but because of what he said. This was no longer celebrity gossip. This was personal. This was war. Then came the evidence. Clooney reached into his coat and placed a flash drive on the evidence table. It looked ordinary, even cheap, but what it contained was anything but. Surveillance clips, transcripts, photos no tabloid had ever dared to publish. And then, the video. A short, grainy clip of masked figures surrounding a blindfolded person on a red cushion. Silent, ritualistic, terrifying. The video cut off after 7 seconds, but the silence it left behind was louder than any scream. The prosecutor asked, "Mr. Clooney, what exactly are we looking at?" Clooney didn't flinch. "A system," he said. "A ritual of power and fear designed to keep people in line. And it's not just Diddy." He pointed to the back rows of the gallery, rows where Hollywood's elite often sat, hidden behind sunglasses and silence. "Some of them are here today," he said quietly. You could hear the shuffle of feet, the shift in body language. The camera panned briefly to Diddy, whose expression didn't change. Just a slow blink, calculated, cold, and then the bombshell. Documents linking hush-money payouts to political donors. Burner phones traced back to closed-door events. Signed N.D. as so airtight they made legal history. And at the bottom of one affidavit, an alias. Mr. S. Industry insiders knew exactly who that was. Everything Clooney laid out connected. The black cars, the envelopes, the canceled projects, the fear, not random events, but symptoms of a coordinated network. And suddenly, everything made sense. The celebrities who burned out, the artists who walked away from million-dollar deals, the activists silenced before they could even speak. This wasn't a series of scandals. It was a system that punished those who disobeyed. Clooney ended his testimony with one line. "The only reason I'm here is because I couldn't live with being silent. Not anymore." The courtroom sat frozen. Even the judge looked shaken. Outside, news vans were parked shoulder to shoulder, but many never aired the footage. Headlines came and vanished. Social media buzzed, but then moved on. Some stories are just too dangerous to stay viral. But here's the truth. This story isn't going away. What Clooney exposed was just the beginning. There's still a list of names, events, documents that hasn't been revealed. Yet, because those in power are counting on you to forget, to scroll past, to move on. But you're still here, which means maybe you're ready to see what's coming next. And trust me, this isn't the end of the story. It's the first chapter. So, if you want to stay ahead of the blackout, if you want to know what really happens behind the velvet curtain of fame, subscribe now. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what comes next, because the guest list drops soon. And when it does, names will fall like dominoes. Don't turn away. Not now. This is bigger than Diddy. This is the system, and its mask is slipping. Is